you could be or have some type of alien bloodline.
Are you saying that my blood is no good?
Supposedly it's called the royal bloodline.
Most unusual blood type.
There's a lot of people that are watching this right now, RH negative blood. This is something that a lot of people don't know much about, and there's a lot of people who have RH negative blood. Supposedly it's called the royal bloodline, and this is where there's supposed to be a lineage, and we're going to go over some of that a little bit tonight, and people that you know, famous people, celebrities, white and black, that are connected to this particular bloodline. Now, scientists have always said they didn't know the origin of the bloodline, and so therefore, hence, it's been tossed in term with a verbiage of extraterrestrial. And that is something that other people may say, Roderick not, but they still couldn't figure it out. But over time, they began to see there was a alien connection, and there was a possible alien connection, which there's a lot of people that are watching this right now, you could be or have some type of alien bloodline. Now, am I making this up? Heck no, I'm not making this up. In fact, I remember my first two children when they were born to their mother. And this is when I was in my 20s, long time ago, long time ago. But you can figure that out. And I remember her having to needing a shot to protect my babies, my daughters, both of them. And I didn't even know and had a clue what it was. I didn't even think about my children's mother having whatever type of blood type, period. And it wasn't until maybe several months ago when my youngest of the two was rushed to the hospital and she needed an emergency surgery. And then when the doctor came in after the surgery, and thank God that she came out of it okay. It was a scary moment. But the doctor turned around and said something about her blood type, which I already knew was a descendant of something. And I turned to her mother, and her mother goes, yeah, you remember I had to have a shot? I'm RH negative. And I was like, my Scooby-Doo. I was like, roof. And that's when I realized I've been so close to this all along, all my life. Even when I saw the UFO at 12 years old, becoming a UFO investigator, being part of this. But the fact that I know the mother needed a shot tells me enough that I'm close enough and I know that I'm in the right place at the right time. So with that being said, we're going to get right into this tonight. We're going to first go into, even when we begin now, we're going to talk about maybe you could be descendants from aliens.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry, what?
Talk about maybe you could be descendants from aliens. And we'll go into RH negative characteristics, and we're going to reveal some of those. We're going to talk about the DNA results of elongated skulls back in today, how they tie into RH negative.
Oh, this is going to be good.
The reason why RH negative people are being tracked, okay, how scientists could use the DNA, sequencing all the way back to alien life, and we'll go into how you can recognize a characteristics. I did this before. I was on Clubhouse, and we had all these people calling in about RH negative. And unbeknownst to me, I decided to say, you know what, change. Everybody put up your profile pictures. And we started looking at, out of 15 people that was on that stage, there was about 9 or maybe 10 that all had similar characteristics, and they didn't even know each other. And they was from all over a whole different vast of United States.
Some strange shit.
So we're not going to play around with this thing. As I read some of this, it goes into humans carry a blood type and more likely be descendants of aliens. Researchers, they talk about this all the time. And one in particular was saying that if you start thinking about genetics and how that works, that we can only inherit what our ancestors had, except for if it was like a case of mutation. Basically, what they're saying is that we are what we are. And if you have it, it's descendants. Now, I know first thing we're going to think of is our literally our parents, the parents that we see, the parents that are in our faces every day. And they're not alien, Roderick. They don't even look like aliens. Well, if you start really thinking about all the videos and what you're going to be finding here and information here with genetic tampering and how anything's possible. Absolutely anything's possible. Make no mistake about it. Now, therefore, I'm going to knock this in the head right now. If man and ape, remember we supposedly had evolved from apes, and if they were our common ancestor, then their blood would have evolved the same way. And I say this all the time. So if you think that we came from apes, why haven't the apes that's walking around now evolved? Why did they stay the same? Otherwise, they would have evolved, right? They will be running around driving cars like the Planet of the Apes. They tried to do that in the movies. And if we have all evolved from the same ancestor, we all would have the same blood. That kills the Adam and Eve theory. If we all came from the original pair, Adam and Eve, then we all will have the same blood as Adam and Eve, right?
Hell no!
We wouldn't have all of these different blood types. We got all these different blood types, plain and simple. And how do we know? If you are in question with, is that your baby? They got shows on this now, and they go to DNA diagnostics, and they go, Mr. Whatever. In the case of little Roderick.
Pharrell Jackson, you are not the father.
Because the bloodline and everything didn't match. The DNA didn't match. Plain and simple. So they can track back every descendant from you, grandkids, great-grandkids, all the way back, shares that genetic code. It can't be alleviated. It can be spliced. It can be a little different, but it's going to be there. There are several personality traits that are associated with Rh negative carriers, including, supposedly, they have an average IQ, they have a lower body temperature, sensitive to vision, and higher blood pressure. I know that my children's mother has high blood pressure, but or it could be this factor because she's Rh negative. Her blood builds up antibodies to destroy an alien substance in the same way it would a virus, therefore destroying the infant. See, this is the thing that happens when a woman in Rh negative blood will be able to carry a child from a man with Rh positive blood. If they do, they get something called, and that means her blood builds up that antivirus and the body is going to destroy it. It's going to see that baby as a virus, and it's going to try to destroy it. And that's when they give you what they give. And so the alien origins theory have been fueled by the fact that Rh negative women have a difficult time delivering a child who is Rh positive, and under circumstances, the mother's body would try to kill the child she's bearing. If you want to support the show, if you say, I want Rh negative, Rh negative, whatever, an email address, if you want me to send you out a copy of this thing, I will just cash out contribution and make sure you put your email address and also RH, because we've done it before and sometimes people still send from the last show. So this time I know RH, whatever, negative email address. Let's get down to the benefits. Like I said before, we're going to talk about some of the benefits real quick. We're going to roll through this, the benefits of Rh negative. And I've seen this on a lot of YouTube videos. You can go look it up, that they're less likely to get HIV and AIDS. So you would think, why wouldn't an Rh negative person be not acceptable to a deadly virus of HIV and AIDS? Well, you're talking if it's evolution, than if it's extraterrestrial bloodline, which extends back to thousands of years. Then you might then want to say, okay. Now I have a document, not a document, but a slide here. Now I'm gonna put this on the screen so you can see it in just a moment. And what this is a lineage of people that are Rh negative, and they say that they could have some connection. So I'm gonna go over this real quickly before we get any further to kind of show you what's happening. So on the screen, we have George W. Bush in the middle. So that's when this was made. Obama, which is to the right top, is supposed to be 11th generation cousins to George Bush. Dick Cheney, they're 8th cousins. Marilyn Monroe is the 9th cousin. So they all these people track their bloodlines back. You know, the guy with Firestone, which is to the right there, 11th, 10th cousins. And some of these people are related by marriage, which was Diana, okay? You have 12 cousins removed. You got all over John Senator Kerry, Hugh Hefner, Tom Hanks, Pocahontas, Abraham Lincoln, Madonna. See, you know. So all these people, one is 32 generations removed, which is the Dracula guy from George Bush lineage. And they're going to talk about some stuff on that as well. So I'm just putting that up there to kind of give you some references of, look it up. It's called the Royal Bloodline. So you want to go look that up yourself. Look up the Royal Bloodline, and then you'll be able to find those things out.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear.
All right, so another part of this is O negative women least likely to develop type 2 diabetes. So they're saying that if they're O negative, they're least likely to develop type 2 diabetes, meaning, so I would definitely want to see someone, I am type 2, that is maybe my size if they think it's linked to obesity, and then they want to say, and they find out this person don't even have diabetes. That will be something, because most of us think it's linked to obesity, even though I know people that have it. Rh negative is resistant to Ebola. Now, we know Ebola is a crazy virus that you stay away from, but supposedly people with this Rh negative could survive it. And they're also saying that Rh negative seem to be less likely allergic to dairy products. All right, so let's get into what we call the advanced DNA of science that no longer covers us up, all right? Each scientific advancement that they have reveals a true alien involvement in our planet. They've been finding it out for quite some time. In fact, there's a town that I found on the internet. That whole town is Rh negative, the whole town. For some reason, they're all clustered at this town, and there's something to really look at and see. Now, they're saying that humans, we generally believe that we evolved from apes, but the Rh factor is our blood. And we'll talk about women with this, and we're going to use this because they talk about how these people are being tracked, and they're just so much out there when it comes to this. And I'll answer some questions, or we'll put some stuff up on the chat here in a few minutes as well. We'll get everybody involved. But they're also saying that antigens are molecules that produce the immune system. So when a foreign substance or toxins enter our system, the antigens tell our bodies to attack. Now, with the Rh system, there are 61 antigens, with D antigen determine whether we're Rh positive or Rh negative, and this antigen is sensitive to protein that exists on the surface of red blood cells, will react negatively if it comes intact with Rh positive blood. So let's give this down into the point. And like I said, if you want a copy of this, 80 pages, we'll go over the next 3 days. It is a good read. You're welcome to make a donation to the show, put RH in your email address, and I'll make sure we'll email it to you. All right, so if a woman with Rh negative blood becomes pregnant with an Rh positive baby, her body will produce antigens signaling to her immune system that her fetus is essentially toxic. As strange as it may seem, the woman's body will kill its own fetus unless given a rare antibody known as, and some believe that the Rh negative blood is simply a mutation that come about some unknown time in our evolution. And that's what some of the scientists was talking about at quite some time. They were saying that they can trace most of our bloodlines back, but they could not trace the Rh negative bloodline. And when they kept going back, it was coming up extraterrestrial. And this was in the scientific community for quite some time. And see, that makes you wonder when we start thinking about looking for the truth, that they already know. The big secret keepers already know this stuff. They've been knowing this for quite some time, but yet is another cover up.
Damn right.
If it is, and I'm not talking about covering up of people who could possess this blood type, but the origins of the blood type, which then will reveal that there's extraterrestrials out there, most likely. They don't want to let that out because they want to keep all these secrets. And that, once again, is one of the things that we want to discuss at all time. We, truth seekers, we want the truth. We got to have it. Now, that'll be great part of disclosure. Other than disclosure where we want to know if spacecrafts are flying around or UFOs are real, all of those things. It will be more once we figure out the fact that we have other things that will point out to the point that extraterrestrials exist. And that's blood type. And I know one of my questions, and maybe somebody can answer it, that I've always had, and that is what I explained earlier, was that, okay, so if we got parents, and our parents don't look like aliens, how do I come out with this blood type? Well, just like anything else in genetics. You know, you could literally, I used to breed dogs, you know, pit bulls, or raise them and bred them together, not me. And in the pit bull world, because the genes are so crossed with terriers and all of this over the years, they just mixed it with so much. True story. You could, and people used to love back in the day, a all white pit bull. I mean, that was just clean. And then you spend extra money getting it because he's solid white. Everybody used to love it. It was just a good look for the dog. And then you find somebody else got a puppy that's all white, a male, and you got an all white female. And you're like, I'm finna make that freaking money. Unlike any other breeds, except some of the others, you can breed two solid white pit bulls together. And when that litter is born, you can have black, you can have tan, brindle colors, you can have anything but white. And you're sitting there saying to yourself, the mama is white, the daddy is a white dog. How come I don't have all white puppies? That's the genetics. And then all of a sudden, 3 generations down, one of those dogs have an all white litter. But it's the bloodline from the parents that are 4 generations up. It just activated itself. So it's possible for you to have Rh negative blood, and then your parents has this, and the grandparents, but then you're a descendant from somewhere way back in this lineage that activated that DNA. It was always there. It just somehow it was profound with the two wherever it crossed. I'm not a scientist. You can go check that part out yourself. And it's not just females. There's males out there that are Rh negative as well. And I don't know the deal if 2 Rh negative people got together and what would they produce. I don't know yet.
You don't have a clue, do you?
Yeah, that I don't know. Now, what they're saying is, could this actually be a mechanism to protect the alien or alien hybrid bloodline from being altered or being watered down? This takes us into this point. This is why we have hybrids. They're here. They're here because they are trying to make sure, and let me give you a point. There is probably several types of alien races, and we're going to go over that next week. I have some information that has a lot of alien races. And within all these races, they all have different purposes. Some live for a couple of 100 years, some live, and they did say a long time ago that we were tampered with. But what people don't realize is that all of these extraterrestrials come from all of these other places. And so Earth is a kind of a garden planet. It's why it's called a blue planet. Nothing like anything else out there that we know of. This is why we have all these things growing here, all this beautiful whatever. But they test them. They come, they pick up things, they take people other places, other planets and civilizations. But the origin of everything is the fact that we are new, is what I'm trying to say. Humans have not been around as long as some of these other things. Now, no one has tried to explain where the Rh negative people come from, but most familiar with blood factors admit that these people must at least be a mutation, if not descendants of a different ancestor. So what we do know is, if we're not going to tie anybody with Rh negative, if we're not going to tie them to aliens, well, where do we tie them to? Because nobody knows the ancestral line. So I guess we can tag it. Aliens could be something else. Nobody knows. If you were a mutation, you want to ask the question, what caused the mutation? Who was the ancestors of these people? Make sure you like and share this video. Hit the thumbs up, because that is something that I want you to do. So who are the ancestors? That's the question when it comes down to this.